Destroyed instruments, sleep deprivation, and a variety of substances fueled the creative process for Marilyn Manson's sophomore album Antichrist Superstar, which Nine Inch Nails mastermind Trent Reznor took on the task of producing. That album was the start of the end of their friendship. The sessions took a long time, a lot longer than Reznor would have liked, while Manson was pushing the boundaries with pain and other things, which we'll get into later in the video. In the 1990s, one of the subgenres of music that became popular was industrial rock and metal, which fused mechanical and electronic sounds with heavy metal and hard rock. Artists such as Rammstein, Ministry, Nine Inch Nails, and Marilyn Manson were the face of it, and although the two latter groups had similarities, there was a lot of clashing going on between them behind the scenes, particularly Manson and Nine Inch Nails frontman Trent Reznor. We've explored a couple of infamous feuds over the last few weeks, one between two masked bands, another between one rocker who was fired from a band, and lastly, one between two members of the same band. This time, we're looking at a bit of a mentorship, and it got pretty nasty. You may be thinking to yourself, but wait, didn't Reznor produce some of Marilyn Manson's albums? Yeah, he did, but there was a lot of darkness taking place behind the scenes. Before we get into the match, we have to introduce the opponents. Trent Reznor was born in May of 1965 in Pennsylvania. He founded Nine Inch Nails in 1988 and acted as the primary songwriter, vocalist, and multi-instrumentalist for much of its existence. Marilyn Manson was born Brian Warner in January of 1969 in Ohio. Initially, Marilyn Manson was the name of the band that Warner formed in 1989, but he eventually adopted it as his stage name. Reznor and Manson met in 1989, and allegedly the latter interviewed Reznor for a music publication called 25th Parallel in Florida, though it's not available to read online. Nine Inch Nails' debut album Pretty Hate Machine came out that year, while Manson's band was known as Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids at the time. In Manson's book, he mentioned that the next time he saw Reznor, his band was opening for Nine Inch Nails at Miami's Club New, and he was able to reconnect with the singer and give him a demo tape of his own music. Manson eventually dropped the Spooky Kids part of the name and landed a deal with Sony Music in '91, but it didn't work out. So Reznor lent Manson a helping hand and signed him with his own label, Nothing Records. He also offered to produce the fledgling act's first album, Portrait of an American Family, which came out in '94.
I approached them about the idea of wanting to work with me on the label.
He happens to be the only person in the music industry that I trust, and they gave us the opportunity to put out our record completely raw and unexpurgated.
That year, Manson was also invited to open for Nine Inch Nails during their Self-Destruct tour in support of the Downward Spiral, and then Reznor produced their 1995 EP, Smells Like Children. Sounds like it was all going pretty well between the pair, right? Well, things escalated once Reznor started working with Manson on his sophomore album, Antichrist Superstar. Over the next few minutes, we'll break down Manson and Reznor's falling out, how they went back and forth at each other over the years, and where they stand today. Their relationship may not have been wholesome, but you know what is? Cereal with no artificial ingredients. Professional fighters need a lot of protein to keep their muscles strong, so if you need help getting more protein in your diet, you should try Magic Spoon. Not only is it high in protein, but it has 0 grams of sugar and no artificial ingredients. I recently tried the variety pack, which comes with 4 delicious flavors: fruity, frost, cocoa, and peanut butter. I've eaten it every single day for breakfast, and I still haven't gotten tired of it yet. I can't even eat eggs for more than a few days in a row. The cereal has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, 4 to 5 grams of net carbs in each serving, and each serving is only 140 calories. It has the same great taste you love in your cereal, but with more protein and less sugar. Lately, I've been loving the fruity flavor with oat milk. Click the link below to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use the promo code LOUDWIRE at checkout to get $5 off any order. Or go to magicspoon.com/loudwire. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So click the link below or scan the QR code on the screen and use the code LOUDWIRE for $5 off, or go to magicspoon.com/loudwire to save $5 today. Now let's get back to the nitty-gritty. The creative process for Antichrist Superstar was pretty disastrous for a couple of reasons. For one, Manson's experimentation nearly killed him. He told MTV that he tried a variety of drugs, inflicted pain on himself, and deprived himself of sleep to see what the effects would inspire. He even admitted he shoved sewing needles underneath my fingernails to test my pain threshold because my emotional one had already been crossed. Manson said that Reznor did more on this record in the past, and in some ways he worked less than in the past, and also noted that the Nine Inch Nails frontman got dragged into his experiences. Manson guitarist Daisy Berkowitz accused Reznor of intentionally destroying a Fender guitar he was gifted by his late father and left the band as a result.
Oh, this is the part where you quit! Right, I'm so predictable.
Antichrist Superstar was the last album Manson and Reznor worked on together, but it made Manson a superstar himself. The two became estranged, as Reznor told Kerrang in a 1997 interview. He said, "Manson and I aren't as close as we were," then added, "You have to deal with the reality. Being around a few more years than he has, I've seen my own personality distort and the personalities of the band around me distort. Now I've watched his personality distort. A bit of fame, and you change." Reznor also mentioned that the Antichrist Superstar recordings took way longer than he would have liked them to, and said he was happy with about 80% of the album, adding that he would have made it even more extreme.
What's it like to work with Trent Reznor?
It'd probably be more interesting to ask him what it's like to work with us.
And something else happened in '97 that apparently contributed to the rift between Reznor and Manson. Reznor was asked to produce the soundtrack for the David Lynch film Lost Highway, a job that Manson apparently really wanted for himself. The shock rocker has a song on the soundtrack, but was bitter about the fact that he didn't get to produce it. Reznor told Metal Hammer in 2005, "We were friends, I was helping him out, then he's on my label, then he's opening for my band, and the competitive nature of it got to him. You get tired of answering questions about your big brother, and when you sprinkle lots of money and drugs on top of that."
I did too many drugs and alcohol.
The following year, Manson's autobiography, The Long Hard Road Out of Hell, came out, and it contained a pretty grotesque story about himself, Reznor, and a woman when they were on tour together, as well as some other remarks about the Nine Inch Nails frontman. The events detailed by Manson in the book were originally discussed during a 1995 interview Manson did with Empyrean magazine, but the story was canceled due to content objections. The magazine's publisher said this was because they believed that the magazine had followed unethical interview procedures in order to extract information from Mr. Manson.
I was under duress.
Reznor told Kerrang in 1999, "If certain people do certain things which cross a line of what is decent, I don't deal with them anymore." With Manson, that line has been crossed. He said some very ignorant, mean, malicious things, later concluding that friendship was a big fuck up for me. It fucked me up pretty good. In 2000, though, the pair seemingly made up, at least for a brief time. On May 9th, Nine Inch Nails played a show at Madison Square Garden in New York City, and Manson came out on stage to perform The Beautiful People together. Manson also worked with Nine Inch Nails on the video for the song Starfuckers Inc. in 2000, which Reznor admitted was partly inspired by Manson.
We shouldn't be competing. There's much more terrible music out there that we should unite against.
There was a long period of time where I had no desire to rekindle that friendship, and I felt pretty hurt. In the last several months, I've kind of been feeling like maybe enough water's been under the bridge.
It's not entirely clear what led to the pair falling out again, or if they had ever really made up at all. In an interview in 2005, Reznor was asked if he felt like he was overshadowed by Manson's fame after helping him become famous. The singer said, "To some degree. I have mixed feelings about the whole thing, because from a business point of view, for the record label, it was wildly successful. I think he's a talented guy, and I'm not taking credit where it's not due. If there was a valid role I had, it was helping provide a framework to allow him to do what he wanted to do. And then the whole thing happened, and what's done is done. As a human, as a friend, I'm disappointed." A few years later, Reznor had harsher words to say about his former friend. He told the publication Mojo in 2009, "He is a malicious guy and will step on anybody's face to succeed and cross any line of decency. Seeing him now, drugs and alcohol now rule his life, and he's become a dopey clown." Reznor added that he wasn't blameless in the ruin of their friendship, though. 2 years later, he was asked during a live Q&A if he would ever work with Manson again.
And regarding Manson, I think there's talent in that guy, and if he's at a position where he'd want to try something new. We've had our problems, but that's, I wear suits now, I'm an adult.
In 2017, Manson did an interview with Howard Stern and touched on his relationship with Reznor. He explained that he was angry at Reznor for a long time because he thought that he destroyed the masters for Antichrist Superstar.
But I later found out after doing the Starfuckers video, which I thought we made amends. And then it was just awkward because I still had a pent-up resentment because I thought that he had ruined my career, like the history of my career, like burning.
He got rid of your
Dead
master.
Sea Scrolls or something.
Right.
Manson claimed that he and Reznor reconnected through his guitarist Tyler Bates, and Reznor assured him that he still had the masters for the album. He said that his anger was gone once he knew the masters were safe, and was even open to working with Reznor again in the future. Manson also told Zane Lowe that he received an email from Reznor around that time that said, "It really pisses me off that music's not dangerous anymore, and it reminds me of how great you were, and I was, and the time, the era." The collaboration never happened, and in early 2021, actress Evan Rachel Wood, who'd been in a relationship with Manson from 2007 until 2010, named the shock rocker as her abuser. This led to the musician being dropped by his label, agency, longtime manager, and the films and TV projects he was working on at the time. Several other individuals came forward with allegations against the musician afterward, and as a result, the excerpt that we mentioned earlier from Manson's 1998 book that he described with himself, Reznor, and a woman had resurfaced online. Thus, Reznor issued a public statement denouncing his friendship with Manson and denying the claims that were written about him in the book. He said, "I have been vocal over the years about my dislike of Manson as a person and cut ties with him nearly 25 years ago. As I said at the time, the passage from Manson's memoir is complete fabrication. I was infuriated and offended back when it came out and remain so today." The feud between Reznor and Manson was messy and pretty dark, so it wasn't easy to determine who the winner is. Both musicians have had successful careers, and we can't say with complete certainty who was in the right or wrong. But as Reznor has been able to free himself from a friendship that was toxic more often than not, we've declared the Nine Inch Nails frontman as the champion. Thanks for watching, and let us know which feud you want to see us break down next time.